Ah, ya está usted ahí amarrado.
Se supone, pero
puede que trae tierra.
Sicher so ein saurer Furzungsersatz.
Vragen voor dat, Mike? Mag je vragen voor dat, Mike?
Am Anfang schon established.
CEOs today are feeling a lot less optimistic than they did just a year ago. Whether it's the volatile Chinese markets, the rising political tensions around the world, the disruptive technologies that we're all aware of, CEOs see real challenges ahead, and this is reflected in how they view the prospect for the global economy. So here's the headline. 27% of the CEOs believe that the global economic growth will improve in 2016. And that's down a whole 10 points. That's right, 10 points from last year, and down from 44% in 2014. A 17-point decline when you look at the trends. But what's even more striking is that 23% of the CEOs believe that the economic growth in 2016 will actually decline. And this has risen from 17% just last year and 7% in 2014. Another great trend, right? So bottom line, the trends aren't good. And here's another point. We finished interviewing the CEOs in December. And my guess is that if we were to ask the CEOs today how they feel, the results could even be worse. Now, when we look at the results by region, there's really some interesting changes compared to last year. Europe has gone from the least optimistic region to the second most optimistic this year, just behind Africa. In fact, it's only in Europe that we see CEOs expressing increased confidence in their 12-month revenue growth. However, in every other region, confidence is down, and sometimes markedly, by around 10 points in North America as well as in Asia-Pac. Now, when you look at some of the things that CEOs are worrying about, you begin to understand, I think, a little bit better why they're feeling really concerned. Interestingly, 2/3 of CEOs see more threats today in their business than they did just 3 years ago. Concerns about regulation, higher than ever before, now reaching 80% of the CEOs. And it's clear the regulatory pendulum is showing no sign of improvement. Also, the lack of key skills and exchange rate volatility continue to trouble CEOs. And with 74% of CEOs citing geopolitical uncertainty, this has risen to the second most worrying issue. And given recent events, it's likely to become even more pronounced in the year ahead. And to me, what's really interesting about this, geopolitical issues weren't even cited 3 or 4 years ago. And now it's the number 2 threat for CEOs as they think about the future. So it's fair to say CEOs have a lot on their minds. But it's not just the issues that they can try to address, such as lack of skills or cybersecurity, for example. It's also the major economic as well as the political events like currency volatility and terrorism over which they have no control. So to conclude, CEOs are clearly dealing with a lot of moving parts, an economic picture that is increasingly unpredictable, a world that in many ways is becoming more complex and disconnected, a series of risks that are growing wider, and a growing need to place a values-based purpose at the organization's center. And finally, a continuing technology revolution that is disrupting the very nature of business and, for that matter, society in general. So it's not a surprise that CEOs are really concerned about the next 12 months. So given these survey results and the challenges that CEOs face, certainly on a number of different fronts, it's easy for all of us to assume a doom and gloom scenario. But we see much more than that. To me, it's actually encouraging to see how CEOs are actually confronting today's realities, but also thinking about the long term, looking at how their business meets the broader needs of society and how the expectations of a wider group of shareholders can be met. And I also think that by focusing on meeting the greater needs of stakeholders, not just shareholders, the current level of trust in business can begin to get reestablished. And that trust, all of us, is an increasingly vital currency, particularly given all the uncertainties I've outlined here today.